if we go that route, there is some minor cost to incorporate that drawing back into the master drawing set for the treatment plant, because it would have to be part of that as-built set. But I don't know what that cost would be. I don't know if, whatever fencing company selected even would provide drawings. It would be part of the RFP, obviously, but.
Right.
So these are two separate things. The one for the switchgear, we can't really get around. It has to be done that way. I understand your point on the fencing. So if that's the direction of the board, then we can definitely bring back a separate item as an RFP for a fence code.
I'm just one guy. That's my opinion. You guys can speak up.
I think it's a good idea, but my question is now, is this the Tannehill property?
No.
Okay. So, but mile and a half the fence,
No, a half mile.
oh, half mile? Yeah, well, you're not.
We're not getting that crazy.
No, what I was saying, I've done a little fencing in my day too. And that chain link fence is probably 6 foot tall, I imagine, right? And then your
6
wire.
foot with 3 wire barbed wire.
Yeah, well, I'll guarantee you, you're looking probably $15, $20 a foot. So,
Yeah. Well, when I priced out the material to see if it was something that we could just do ourselves, it was almost $100,000 just in material.
yeah, right. So, but,
Surplus?
No, I agree. Good time. How they go out for bid, so. And the switchboard we need to do, so, I mean, can we bring it back?
So they're two separate things, really. You could approve one without the other.
So I would motion that we approve amendment number 7. And we not approve amendment number 8, but have the RFP for that fencing come back to the board when you're ready to post it.
Okay.
Can we have public comment before we
Yes, I'm sorry.
take action?
Public comment.
I've been involved in some fence line scopes of work, and I thank you for your comments. I was wondering where that was going to go. The thing that I thought was strange was that the fence was bundled with the solar initiative, the NEMA, whatever it was. I know how that works, and you need to have stuff installed by a certain point, but I couldn't imagine how the fence was involved in that. That's kind of how it was presented, and it was kind of confusing. Thank you for separating that out, and I'm surprised that staff bundled those together. And I'm also surprised that staff didn't foresee the questions that you were going to ask, and that they didn't look at all those options before it came to the board for a vote. It would seem to me that if somebody asked me for some fence line stuff, I would have said, well, who's the expert on fences? And I would have gone to the experts on fences and said, what's a specification for a fence? And then I would have looked at the land and I would have put together a scope of work and done all of that before I would have come to the board and asked for money approval. I'm just curious why that didn't happen. And it seems to be something that happens a lot. Stuff kind of gets mixed up with each other, and then we ask people to do paperwork for us. It doesn't seem like we really have any expertise in-house, and a lot of stuff is getting thrown off at other people to do work. Not necessarily the right people, but other people to do work. And lots of checks are getting written by poor Owen over there. His hand's getting sore. And our money's going out the door. And I don't know who has oversight of all that. I don't know who's double checking whoever's doing all this to say, hey, why didn't we look at this? And why didn't we look at that? I don't see any conversation going. I just see one direction. It comes to the board. I need money for this. But I don't see things like, well, did it go out for bid, or was it a cost time and materials contract? I haven't heard of very many time and materials contracts working for government. They like to do specifications, and we spend a lot of time on scopes of work. And then we go out and we talk to, we solicit people to come in and tell us how it should be done. And then we put together those papers, and then we go back out and we look for bids. And we do job walks. I don't know that that stuff happens too much here. It just seems like we throw money at the same companies to do stuff that, one, we should have the expertise in-house. I don't expect anybody out there building a fence. Okay, we don't have any people on the ground for that, but I think a scope of work could be written, and I think some bids could be gotten. A fence doesn't sound like a monumental project, even with 4 gates in it. I was just a lowly guy doing government contracts, and those were like regular day occurrences. Go get a fence, go get bids, fix that gate, bid out for a janitorial contract, bid out for a this or that contract. And we just did it. And it didn't seem like we hired a lot of outside expertise to write our paperwork for us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, look at that, pretty nice.
Okay, any other public comment? Nope. Go back to my motion. Motion that we approve amendment number 7, that we not approve amendment number 8, and put the wheels in motion for this, set this up as an RFP for the fencing.
Second.
Davis. I have a motion on the floor to approve, number 7, and no on number 8, and go out RFP for fencing. Second by Director Davis. We'll have a vote. Director Davis.
I gotta say yes and no then, right?
The whole thing is
Oh, okay.
approve
Yeah,
7,
yeah.
not approve 8,
Oh, okay,
RFP fence.
okay, thanks.
Did you say yes?
Yes?
Okay. Director Beatty.
Yes.
Director Sangster.
Yes.
Passes 3-0 with 1 absent.
I've had the experience, I've had to run RFPs for my current employer for fencing, for Swamp Pacific Ranch property up in Santa Cruz, the entire property, along with every bit of ag fence at Cal Poly. So if you need either sourcing, like who the companies in SLO County are that do all the fencing, that you can notify that the bid's going to be posted, and I'm happy to provide those or any assistance on the project.
Yeah, if you have sources for that, we're more than happy to do that. Direct soliciting works a lot better than the plant rooms, even though we get some response from both.
I'll send you companies and contacts.
I appreciate that, thank you.
Okay. Moving on to number 8. Authorize the general manager to contract with Geo Solutions at an amount not to exceed $11,920 for soils engineering and boring work, and SWCA at an amount not to exceed $32,274 for environmental work related to the SLT booster station design and tank site, with related budget adjustment by resolution 2025-50.
So,
Number 8.
page 301, number 8.
Okay.
So this item is to approve the contracts, or authorize the general manager to approve contracts with Geo Solutions and WCA for work related to the design of the proposed SLT tank and booster station. The work from both of them would encompass both the pump station and the tank sites, although the tank sites is not going to be built immediately. It would be built sometime in the near future, hopefully. But both the geotechnical work and the environmental work will be still pertinent to those designs. Both of these would be necessary for moving forward with the booster station design itself. And like I mentioned, they would both be applicable to moving forward with the tank site once funding is available for that. And SWCA is also the company or the consultant that is doing the work for the wastewater treatment plant and has been working on the environmental work related to the recycled water line that was proposed to go right by the site. The contract with SWCA is for the we anticipate it'll be a M&D. If they do need a full report, that is what the higher $32,000 amount is. And scroll down to their agreement. So it's possible that it could be considerably less if the initial result or initial surveys come back and there's no additional work needed if we can do. A lesser report, an addendum, maybe then we can potentially save upwards of $12,000. But for the purposes of transparency, it's shown as full for that report as well.
Okay. Comments and questions, gentlemen?
Yes, I do. Okay, we're talking about the booster pump, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. But I can't see spending $32,000 for environmental impact for where the tank may go on top of the hill at the power road. Is that what you're talking about?
So the environmental work would be necessary for the booster station site at the bottom of the hill and would be required for any future tanks at the top of the hill.
Right.
So either we do it once and encompass the whole property, or we do it twice. I can't guarantee that the cost to do half of it's going to be that much less than doing all of it.
Oh. Is the booster pump going to go where that brick building is, where the old booster pump is?
It's going to go down at the lower terrace where the existing booster station is.
Yeah, the one that you're going to demolish, right?
Or maybe in that general area.
Yeah. Okay, so I just can't, like I said, we've been trying to get the sewer treatment upgraded for how many years? And nothing's getting done. We're just spending a lot of money on engineers and consultants and so on. But nearest thing that's getting done is the solar panels, which looks like we're getting somewhere on that. But so I personally just can't see doing an environmental impact study on something that, that may or may not happen until we get really good plans of exactly what you're gonna do. Because we got the airstrip down there, and to me it don't make any sense to where you're putting the booster pump and the plans for that tank anyway. But that's me, but I just can't see spending money on something. I doubt very seriously there'll ever be a tank up there for 10 years, the way things move here, really slow. We just spend a lot of money, but we don't get anything done. Got plans and pictures, and it's the same thing with the treatment plant. I think it's already been resolved that we're not gonna put a 9,200 square foot building in the middle of the treatment plant. So there's going to be a lot of changes, is what I'm saying.
So the treatment plant doesn't really have anything to do with this booster station.
I understand that.
I understand.
I'm just giving you an example of what I see happening with this district. We spend a lot of money, but no dirt gets moved, or no, nothing happens.
I understand your point that things take forever.
I understand that too, but
to a degree, the government has made it so that the government cannot be efficient. The geotechnical work and environmental work would be required to develop any sort of plans for a booster station, unless we just decide we're going to develop a plan without regard to the geotechnical work or the environmental work, and design a plan, spend the money to design a plan, which clearly is not anybody's benefit. that may or may not actually be viable to build there. You go and put, 20,000 pounds on a slope and the slope can't hold it, then now that 20,000 pounds is down in the river.
Well, I understand.
So,
that.
and I understand that you're not in support of putting tanks there. You've been pretty opposed to that the entire time. But in order for us to position ourselves in a place where either we can apply for construction funds, we have to have a plan. In order to get to a plan, we have to do the basic studies to get to the plan, which is geotechnical work, environmental work. Those are basically the corners of the entire design effort.
So what is the target date to upgrade that booster station?
So I think it's later on this agenda, there's we already approved it.
It's not on this one.
So in consent, you guys approved to put an RFP for the design for the for the booster station. Assuming that we get pricing back and the board is willing to spend the money to do the design, then we would start design in 2026, hopefully be done by the end of 2026. And the potential for us to get construction funding is a lot higher than getting planning funding at this point. The Division of Drinking Water has money, but they're not going to give it to anything that's not shovel ready at this point. At the same time, we have housing projects coming in, or that are being proposed that could pay into this. So it's possible that if we get to a point where we have a shovel-ready project for the booster station, that those developments might be interested in developing, in which case they can pay a fair share of that, because they would be directly benefiting from it.
Okay, and do you have an approximate cost for this upgrade?
Originally, the estimate for tanks, the booster station, and 4 blocks of water line repair was $4 million. But that was both tanks, the booster station, and again, the water line repair. The initial phase of this would be the booster station, which in total is estimated to be less than $1 million. We are doing, over the last year, basically we've done a lot of internal value engineering, and potentially we could be reducing that by a considerable amount. But I would estimate that we're probably looking at probably $400,000 to $500,000 in construction costs on the low end.
Okay.
Without tanks, but preparing for tanks.
If we go through this process, how long will this information be viable?
So the geotechnical work will be pretty much good for the foreseeable future. Environmental work, the basis of it is pretty much good forever. The studies that have to be done every year would have to be done every year anyway, looking for different plant life, looking for different animal and insect life. Those have to be done annually anyway. So those would have to be redone at that point, but the overall environmental review, traffic, construction, long-term operation, those would all be done. That, as long as the conditions at that intersection don't change significantly, it's not going to change. By doing them now, they would incorporate the housing development next to it. And potentially, if we were building at the same time, that would reduce our overall impact and lessen requirements. But the requirements that would come out of this report would pretty much live on until it's built.
Okay, meaning that the planned housing development at the airport would be benefiting from this work and the upgraded booster station and the additional water tanks, correct?
So they would not need this to have sufficient fire flow and sufficient pressure, but if we were to build this, then they would be served by it also. So they would be benefiting at that point. So theoretically, if we were to say that that is the goal and that's the direction of the district, then those homes, if they were connected to it, would be benefiting from it and would pay for it also, help pay for it also.
Okay. And if not, the booster pump or booster station will provide higher pressure, more flow to the terrace as it stands now.
So if the airport project is not built, then this booster station would be providing additional pressure and flow to the existing properties on the terrace.
Okay.
But that booster pump is gonna be useless until you get in your 250,000 gallon tank, right?
So it'll be fed from our tank on this side of the bridge. So the 650,000 gallon tank will still feed that side of the river as it does right now. But
Right.
so until a standalone tank is built, it'll be fed from this side of the river.
Right. So you'd still be able to utilize the booster pump that you're proposing.
So if we were to build it today, then we would be able to use it today
Yeah.
without having a separate tank there.
How many homes are up on the terrace of total would that booster, or the booster station take care of?
So there's 98 homes that are on the terrace that would be benefiting if it was built today. There's approximately capacity for, I don't know, 140, maybe 200 more homes, not including the airport, on various properties over there that could potentially be building and then paying into this as well. But they're all in areas that do not have would not have any water pressure if they were built today.
Okay. Any other comment or questions? No. Okay. We have public comment on this? No. Okay. What would the gentleman like to do?
I'd like to make a motion to table it until we have more information and on it, because like I said, looking with his 2 tanks he wants to put in over there on Power Road, just said it'd be over $4 million, you know, so where's that coming from?
So, be specific, what information do you want to bring it back with?
I want to bring it back with maybe different plans, not necessarily paying somebody for plans, but get some more ideas on if that is the right place to put it with everything else going on, you know, as far as the building and so on, to make it like that.
I'm confused. So we had a alternatives analysis done that provided, I believe, 4 different locations, and this was the most cost-effective, most operationally effective, and least costly location to locate it.
Well,
I mean, I'm happy to table it if that's what the board's wish is.
well, either table it or take a vote on it.
Well, I imagine you're gonna vote no if we take a
Yes.
vote on it.
I'm trying.
And you already made a motion to table it, so we would have to follow that through
Yeah.
at the beginning.
Do you want to table it until you can review the alternatives analysis?
Right, because I haven't seen the alternatives.
It's been provided several times, so I'm more than happy to meet with you and go over it.
Right, yeah.
I'll second, I'm fine to table it for Director Davis to get more information. You intend to meet with Kelly or?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I also, yeah, let's table it until, not January, February. And I should be able to get together with you.
It's been going on
So-
for years.
I would request that if we table it to January, because if wait too much longer than getting on their schedule to do their initial botanical review may not be able to be done in a timely fashion. That needs to be done in the February, March, April timeframe. So if we are going to move forward, I would ask that we be able to bring it back in January, and then if it dies there, it dies there, but at least we have a chance to get on the schedule to get those done if it passes.
I'm fine with that. You and I can work on the agenda for January to shuffle things around. You can make it there in the next 30 days.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay. I'll have a roll call vote. Director Davis?
Yes.
Director Beatty?
Yes.
Director Sangster?
Yes.
Passes 3-0, 1 absent.
Okay, item number 9, also continued from the November 20th, 2025 board meeting. Discussion on district alternative office space and potential alternatives to relocate the office away from the Machado wastewater treatment facility for administrative staff.
So at the November 20th board meeting, we were requested to bring back two options essentially. One, to go to 1271 Mission Street, and 2, to go to the fire station. 2 other alternatives are provided for the board's pleasure. One, to maintain the offices existing as they exist at the treatment plant. Extending the modular lease or purchasing the modular that we currently have, or rejecting all the options and then providing further direction. In the report, we have estimated costs overall of both options, timeframes for both options, going over them. The first option, or either way, we're going to have to pay for essentially downtime to move offices, the additional cost for internet at the fire station or Mission Street, potentially purchasing the existing modular or continue renting the existing modular, purchasing the existing modular, or buying a smaller quote-unquote modular with one office, as was suggested by Director Green at that meeting. And then site-specific costs for Mission Street, for staff to be there, we have one-time costs of up to $20,350, which is kind of a high estimate. It could be considerably less. Operating costs annually of approximately $32,000. And that going to Mission Street theoretically could be accomplished in 2 to 4 months. And it provides general location for three admin staff. The fire station option would again provide office space for 3 office staff. It could be accomplished in 4 to 12 months. This one is a little bit more expensive to accommodate ADA requirements. The ADA requirement accommodations are just estimates. We don't have quotes for these. We don't have bids for these. These are based on other similar costs or similar project costs. So we have approximately $2,500 to essentially purchase and configure workstations for the fire office staff and the THU. $20,000 to $120,000, which is obviously a wide range and could be a lot more, could be a lot less. To design, permit, and construct the ADA accommodations for the temporary housing unit, which would require, at a minimum, widening the doors, building a ramp, probably paving a handicap spot, similar to the one that's at the treatment plant. $25,000 potentially to reconfigure the front of the office for the fire station for ADA accommodations, as the front door does not currently meet ADA requirements. And then potentially an increase of $1,800 annually for electricity for the additional staff that would be using that space. That's a high estimate. It could be a little bit lower. It's not really hard to tell at this point. Which is the time frame. Again, the ADA accommodations are estimates. It could be a lot more, it could be a lot less. In reference to purchasing or continuing to rent the existing modular, the existing rent is for each year would be $26,400. If we were to purchase the existing modular with the existing ramp, it'd be $172,000. A smaller modular that is one office, a bathroom, and an open side of it for operators to use and for having conferences or meetings with contractors or engineers that we do frequently, that is estimated at $154,000. So at this point, we're looking for board direction on what you would like to do so that we can move forward with either staying in place or move towards contracting with, or getting together a lease with 1271 Mission Street, or engaging with a architect to design a plan to submit to HUD for the THU to move forward with moving into the fire station. Clearly, moving to the fire station is the most expensive method and would take the longest. But again, we're looking for direction from the board on how you'd like us to proceed.
Well, number one, the fire station has been used for years. We had offices in there prior to moving down there and so on. So I can't see why it would cost $140,000 to move into the fire station per year.
So when we had offices at the fire station, not only was it an ineffective situation, we had a back room which was deemed to be illegal and removed. That back room had 3 people in that room. 3 people's desks in there, 3 people working in there.
That room was used for meetings.
We had, when you walk in the front door of the fire station,
Yeah.
we used to have 2 people right in the front.
Yeah,
And then we had a person in the middle office, and then we had 3 people in the back office that was since removed.
Right,
Next to that, we had a meeting room, and we had meetings in the meeting room.
yeah.
The meeting room in that back office, along with all the upstairs part, was all deemed to be illegally constructed and was removed. So not only do we have one less office in that space, you're asking to move back 3 people to the fire station where there is now already the fire chief, and every time I've been down there, at least 3 other firefighters down there doing school work, office work, whatever in the office space. At the last meeting, it was discussed that they can move to the THU. Well, that has its own added costs, especially if you want to have public in the THU. And if you're asking the fire chief to be there as his office, he would either need to have some place to go to meet people outside of his office, or we would have to convert the THU to be an ADA accessible THU, or ADA accessible building, which is what drives that